AIIS is really right there. So if you can't find it, by all means.
Would it be?
So it's going to be right in there.
I think it's right. Is it like this?
No, it's not really nearly as pronounced as the ASIS. It's not like
It's like the groove. Is it like when you start to
what originates on the AIIS? Anterior inferior iliac spine.
Yeah, I think it's like right here.
You can say it now.
Rectus
Rectus femoris. Good. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that? It originates. So the rectus femoris. Now, which muscle group is the rectus femoris lumped with? It's kind of a trick question because there's two. Quadriceps is certainly one of them. It's one of the four quadricep muscles. What else is it lumped in with? What else does it do? Since it crosses the hip as well as the knee, what does it do with the hip? Flexes the hip. So quadricep muscles extend the knee, but because this one crosses the hip, it's, if you imagine putting a rubber band from one point to the next and pulling, it's going to pull that leg and hip up. So that's kind of the biggest thing. If you can mentally imagine putting a rubber band from point to point, what's it going to do if you let go? And that's how you start figuring out what these muscles, what these actions are. So ASIS, sartorius originates there. You've got down and in, you're going to find your AIIS, rectus femoris is coming off of there. Hip flexor group. What are the other hip flexors? No.
Wait, no.
That's rotators. Next one, rotator.
Are you talking like?
What else joins the hip flexors? Rectus femoris. What else flexes the hip? So hip flexors, muscles that flex the hip. You've got iliopsoas, the iliacus, psoas major, psoas minor. They come into about the same tendon. So iliacus, if you take ASIS and you step in, because you've got that entire wing of that ilium coming out here, iliac crest, the entire inside of that wing is your iliac muscle, your iliacus. So where does psoas major, psoas minor come from? Where do those originate? You guys understood.
I just haven't said that. Yeah, they're right. They're like they attach from.
Was it what we went over like the first day, like on the?
They're right in your hip. They're crossed. Like right here. There's three of them. The major, the minor, and then there's yeah. Or I think it's the obturator.
Like, so we will.
Yeah, it's inferior, superior. The middle one actually attaches like it's skinny and then it's like onto. I know what these things are, but it's just my brain's not connected.
Okay. All right. Your pelvis. ASIS, sartorius, origination point, right? You come down and in, you find your AIIS, anterior inferior iliac spine. So again, this is your pelvic crest that kind of wraps up and in. It's a concavity, so it makes this bowl that kind of cradles all of the rest of your internal organs. So the inside of that crest, is really made up of, is filled in with your iliacus muscle. Now beyond that, the other two muscles that join in with the same tendon, the psoas major and psoas minor. Alright, so where we started is on the ASIS, which is right here. Got it? So you come down and in, you're going to get your AIIS, which is right in here. So it's sitting a little bit deeper. You want to find it, and you can hide some of these guys out of the way, and you're going to see how that rectus femoris shows up right there. AIIS. Okay? Now, inside of this crest, filling up the entire wing as it comes down, that's the iliacus muscle. Now, we can't really palpate that because we're pushing on organs and other layers of stuff, but we can kind of get on the outside edge. Psoas major, psoas minor, those originate off the bodies, the vertebral bodies of the spine, or the lumbar spine. And they come down, join in, insert into your femur. They're pulling up. Make sense? So, here's what we're going to do. Back on your person, go back to palpation, right? Lift your leg up. So, alright, relax. So what I want is, if we know where ASIS is, we can find AIIS. So coming off of that is rectus femoris. So, you put your hand right distal to the AIIS, lift your leg up. You should be able to feel part of that quadricep contract, that rectus femoris contract. So you can feel that tendon. And if you step in a little bit, you can really feel the iliopsoas tendon hit fire. Because if she relaxes, it all becomes the same squish. But if she contracts, if you lift your leg, then you can feel the tension develop in that tendon so you can feel right where it goes. Why don't you try that? So, ASIS, come down just a hair to where your AIIS is going to be, and put your finger right in there and then lift your leg up. And you'll be able to feel some tension. Okay, so you're getting way inside, so what we're going to do is ASIS, AIIS, so that right there is where that rectus femoris is going to come off out here. Lift. And if we come in just a hair, we're going to feel the iliopsoas tendon as it comes down. If you probably some thing. Feel all right?
So I could kind of like tell where my hip flexors are because like whenever like we're doing like track stuff, it wasn't just like here that it was working, it was kind of like here too. Like, you get what I'm saying? I don't know.
Hold it up. Pop right there.
I understand.
So, as soon as you get them, if you can put your fingers in the right spot and have them contract to hold that leg up, you can feel that tension generate in that tendon. Okay? So that's hip flexion. Iliopsoas, which is iliacus, psoas major, psoas minor, along with rectus femoris. The next piece we're going to look at is probably, let's do adduction, coming in. Now, hip adductors is not exactly the easiest thing to palpate sometimes because they're very high up. Hip adductors. There are 5 of them. What are the 5 hip adductors? Brevis, longus, magnus, pectineus, gracilis. So if we start high-low, we have pectineus highest up, so that's going to be high up. Adductor brevis, adductor longus. Magnus is going to come down and cover up a larger portion of the femoral shaft, hence it being called magnus. And then gracilis is going to drop down below under the pes anserine. Okay? So what's the issue we have here? If we have somebody who has a groin pull or who has a hip flexor pull, one of them's going to hurt pulling the leg up, the other one's going to hurt pulling the leg across. So they're going to have a lot of similar complaints. So if you lift your leg up, so you can find that hip flexor tendon. If you can palpate that and that's not hurting them to hold that leg up, then that's not a problem. Right? Relax, relax, relax. So I'm going to bring a knee down. Bring a knee down. Okay, good. So find the same spot, but go just a hair on the inside. Pull your knee in and across. And if she's firing that and it reproduces pain, or if your palpation point just on the inside of that hip flexor tendon reproduces pain, then that's more of an adductor. Okay?
So just straight up would be the
Hip
flexors
flexor.
and in.
And pushing in is adduction. Okay? So adductors, there's 5 of them. Pectineus, adductor brevis, longus, magnus, gracilis. Where does gracilis insert? Pes anserine. So where's pes anserine?
The medial side
Yep, find tibial
of the tibial
tuberosity. Tibial tuberosity, the right bump right in the middle in the front. And if you go just on the inside, you have a nice flat spot.
I think Gordy's too cold right here.
And groove tuber goes on the other side. Okay?
Hey, I need to get an A in this class, dude. For real.
Okay.
Alrighty.
That's motivation. Alright, so roll on your side. Alright, so what are we going to do from here? What's our next motion? Abduction. So we did adduction, which is going to be fine, so we're going to do abduction. Now what we'll do is, let's do some bony landmarks beyond that. So if you, in this position, you can find your ASIS. So what I want you to do is find the ASIS and actually palpate your fingers. Just walk them along the bony crest. And you'll feel that it kind of goes up in the back and then back down. So you're going to palpate the crest of the iliac bone up and around as it goes high. Now that's going to get you to your PSIS. So how do you find your PSIS? The easy way is if you take your finger, your middle finger, and stick it on the ASIS, and you hold your hand in the shape of a C, right where it lands is about where you're going to find your PSIS. Is it going to be the most identifiable landmark you've ever found? Not entirely. It's a thickening within that ridge on the posterior side of that crest. So palpate that crest around, take your hand in the shape of a C, put your middle finger on the ASIS, and you'll find the PSIS. Shut up.
Could have gone to the other side.
That's right.
Right?
You got it? Ish, kind of, sort of, not really. Sometimes when we have the bony landmarks, you'll find they're not, they're a little bit tender. So it's supposed to hurt, the image is not hurting. So
So it was the middle finger and then
It's like a C.
that's what you're supposed to do.
That's the ASI. Yeah, you got the ASI.
All right, so what are we finding from there? You got it? You think so? Okay, so ASIS, palpate up and around. You're going to get to that PSIS right about there. Okay?
Okay, so.
It doesn't help when you have small hands.
I know. Got it.
All right.
I got it.
Yep.
I like when recording people.
I know, right?
So that's PSIS. So from this position, we've got. So ASIS is another muscle that comes off, originates off of it. What muscle is it that does abduction, abduction? What other muscle does abduction that originates at the ASIS? It's a little muscle. Yeah, it's right there. Nope. It's a quad muscle. So, ASIS.
Quadratic.
TFL, yes, tensor fascial lata, right? So TFL, ASIS, and it comes down to about here, and then it goes into the IT band, which drops down. Okay? So